Okay, everyone, thank you for joining us today. We certainly hope that you and your families are safe and are doing well. My name is Adeline Thompson. I'm the Director of Business Development for the Prairie Region, and I'm pleased today to be talking to you about critical illness insurance. So let's think about the current crisis that we're facing today. Times like these that trigger a lot of fears and concerns for many of us. Right now, governments around the world have increased their unemployment benefits or have implemented temporary relief measures to help all of us, and we all know how very fortunate we are. At the same time, one must think of the impact that a critical illness diagnosis would have on us and our families, and the financial challenges that comes with this diagnosis, especially if there is no critical illness in place. Today's webinar will be recorded and posted on our SSQ YouTube channel. And just like a traditional presentation, if we were face-to-face today, we can only issue CE credits if you attend the full hour presentation. So we are monitoring this session. You'll receive a copy of this presentation and your CE credit certificate within a few weeks. So let's get started. Our operational updates I'll be talking about those in a few seconds. The risks and concerns of critical illness are one of the topics we'll address. Perceptions and objections for both clients and you, the advisors, and then we'll go through a review of our electronic application for non-face-to-face platform. So firstly, some of our operational adjustments. We recently launched a micro portal site specific to our updates, and you can find that on our SSQ website. We are currently updating and communicating our most recent information, so please do check this out. I think you'll be pleased to see the information that we have just recently updated. Specific to underwriting for new business, our life insurance applications for up to the face amount of $1 million. We will now not require the paramedical, blood profile, or urinalysis to be submitted. The same goes for clients between ages 46 and 50 for face amounts up to $750,000. For cases that are currently pending with us, we are reviewing each case on a case-by-case basis. Once the review is complete, the underwriter will communicate that decision in the file in the case notes of LifeSuite, or your MGA will notify you. If you submit applications using our web-based electronic app, which uses the tele-underwriting process, we will continue to do as we always have, and we'll make the request to Dynacare to complete that paramedical. Specific to critical illness, you can see that our medical requirements are posted on the site. On this slide, for ages between 18 and 40 and amounts up to 250,000 inclusive. No underwriting requirements will be required for at least the next 30 days. And actually, this is the decision on all of our communicated updates in respect to underwriting till the end. We're leaving it intact until the end of April, and then it'll be reassessed. For e-apps, the tele-interview will need to be completed as per usual. And for any paper apps that are being submitted, you will need to complete the sections of the paper app on section I, J, and K, and then you can scan it up to your MGA and they'll submit it on your behalf. Again, talking about scanned applications, we will accept documents electronically signed in any of the listed platforms you see here. So DocuSign, Adobe Sign, or OneSpan. I want to remind you that the electronic signature is not accepted on policy owner change forms, nor is it accepted on beneficiary change forms. Both of these are needing an original signature. Any scanned copies of all documents with handwritten signatures are also accepted. Recently, we had a communication that updated you on our whole life products. So they are the whole life 20 pay, the whole life life pay, and our term 100 are now manually requested through the e-app. In the product section of the electronic app, you can enter the total face amount requested under one of the term plus offerings, and then immediately send an email to your MGA along with the illustration and the application number and the client's name, and they'll advise us. If you're doing Universal Life today, we ask you to use the fillable PDF, which is in the front page of our software, or the paper application, and then you can either scan a version of the client's handwritten signature with it, or any one of the electronic signatures work as well. And into the investment side for just a second. For investments, we'll accept contributions using a single pre-authorized payment form instead of having your clients write a check. Certainly want to keep that safe for them through the current situation that we're in. You can also instruct your clients to transfer funds using our online banking system. They simply add SSQ Insurance Investments as one of their payees and enter their 8-digit application number. If you have any requests for redemptions on the investment side, you can send the instructions using our secure investment website, and we will process the request using a direct deposit to their bank account. If there is an unfortunate need to make a death claim, we will require void checks be submitted for each of the beneficiaries to which we would have to pay the claim. And just as a reminder that once the investment contract is opened, it includes a limited trading authorization that we have built inside the contract. So there is no signature required if your client wants to move funds within their contract currently today. I want to be reminding you of some upcoming webinars that we are hosting. Today we have critical illness. Next week on Tuesday, April 14th, we have a 2020 tax and legal update with Jos Herman. Following on the Monday, April 20th, we have Term Plus with Jeffrey Moe. And on Tuesday, we will have April 28th, that is, we will have a Fiero Capital Global Economic Update. So we will be sending you this reminder to register for these upcoming webinars on Wednesday this week. So watch for it in your inbox. I just want to introduce quickly our sales team across the country. If you have any questions about the information that I've just shown you on the previous slide, please reach out to your team in your region. And I will be showing this slide again at the very end of the presentation. So take a minute to connect with your team if you require any clarification. So let's move on to critical illness and discuss the risks and the concerns that possibly you and your clients may face today. First of all, let me introduce you to 5 doors on the next slide, and each one of them are representing a risk that your clients are exposed to that will affect their current lifestyle. If you're given the choice, which door will you open first? Will they all open, or in which order, or does it actually matter? So firstly, let's take a look at disability insurance. The statistics show that 1 in 3 people on average will be disabled for 90 days or longer at least once before age 65. And that disability will have an average length of almost 3 years. This can cause major concern because, as we know, most group benefits programs only cover 2 years, as well as our disability coverage on our Term Plus product is only a 2-year benefit for the first offering. So it can be very much a concern on the disability side. Next, we offer critical illness, or we talk about critical illness. We often find that critical illness focuses a lot on cancer, but the fact is 30% of new cancers diagnosed today are occurring in young and middle-aged adults. That means those between the ages of 20 and 45, which happens to be their most productive years for employment and raising families. As the stats continue to tell us, it's expected that 1 in 44, Canadians will die of cancer in their lifetime. Will one of those be you? Each hour, an estimated 21 people will be diagnosed with cancer in Canada, and heart disease and stroke remain 2 of the 3 leading causes of death today. Loss of autonomy, or the need for long-term care. The rising demand for facilities, or well-run facilities, or qualified facilities across the country is at an all-time high. And depending on the province and the monthly cost for these facilities, it can vary from anywhere from about a $1,600 basic or standard accommodation in Ontario to about $1,400 in Alberta, or as much as $3,000 in British Columbia. And these costs only include basic needs. So things like cable TV, telephone service, or transportation for appointments are available at an additional cost. Let's talk about retirement for a second. The fact is, many Canadians are not even prepared for retirement. Almost 50% of Canadians admit they are not financially prepared, including baby boomers who are just mere years away from putting their hard working days behind them. For those aged 55 to 64, recent stats show that there has been an increase of more than 31% who are not financially prepared. And lastly, we talk about dying too soon or premature death. And as we know, in the event of a premature death, 30% of all families today with dependent children admit they will have immediate trouble meeting everyday living expenses. I actually think that the stat is much higher than that. So, what if one of these doors were to open and it was completely empty space? There was nothing behind the door. Could it mean a financial disaster for your client? Or what if the one they chose had a safety net, an enforced critical illness policy? We know it could mean a financial survival, even if it only is for the short term. I want you to keep the previous slide in mind and what each of these doors represented when we're talking to your clients. Take time to discuss the what if scenarios with them and let them know that they can help reduce their risk with a critical illness coverage. So let's look at the let's take a deeper look into critical illness and address the importance of how and of it and how to present it to your clients. Firstly, I want a little bit of history. I want to shout out and thank you to Dr. Maurice Bernard. He was the South African cardiologist and the man responsible for inventing critical illness insurance. Dr. Bernard was a member of the surgical team along with his brother, Dr. Christian Bernard, who together performed the world's first human-to-human heart transplant in 1967. That event made medical history around the world, and we have truly come so far since then. So Dr. Bernard was often quoted with the saying, they didn't lose their life, they lost their life savings. In other words, you need insurance not because you're going to die, but because you're going to live. Dr. Bernard believed that what people needed when they got sick was an insurance policy that would provide a lump sum of money that would both pay for upfront treatment costs and give them time to recuperate after. We're fortunate that his idea took hold back in 1983 when he helped launch the world's first critical illness insurance policy. He continues to be recognized for his commitment and perseverance in the design of this product, and insurers everywhere know the impact he made. Dr. Bernard passed away in 2014. He was 87 years old. So as you know, living a long time doesn't always mean living a healthy life. Stats show that the 5-year survival rate for Canadians diagnosed with cancer is 63%, which has definitely improved over the last 20 years as better research and treatments continue to be found. As well, when we look at the statistics for stroke victims, approximately 75% of stroke victims survived the event. They are fortunate to recover without a long-lasting disability. However, for the other 25% who are less fortunate, not only do they suffer the long-term effects of the stroke, but they may be financially devastated for the rest of their lives as their needs for additional care may continue and become more costly over time. And reassuring statistics on those who suffer a stroke, nearly 95% of people actually survive the stroke now, providing that they can receive medical attention within 3 hours of having the stroke. So a positive statistic in all. So let's ask your questions for your clients, and hopefully you'll start to become comfortable around having this conversation. Are they entitled to a paid long-term leave? To what magnitude of the financial problems would they eventually have? In the short term, maybe they would not be impacted by much, but what about the long term? Can their spouse take a leave of absence with pay, without pay? All of these are questions and open for discussion with your client. As well, could your client continue to maintain their current lifestyle and meet all of their financial obligations despite the additional cost of dealing with an illness? And in fact, could they even afford the suggested treatment or necessary care? So, really, what decisions are they able to make? It's pretty simple. No critical illness coverage in place, definitely suffer financial challenges. Or they can take action today and consider purchasing the critical illness policy. It's up to you. Give them the choices to make and an opportunity to decide what will happen next for them. Critical illness was first launched in Canada in the mid 1990s, and your clients have likely heard about the product and what it can do. So let's take a further look at some of the perception and objections your clients may give you when you are trying to present this product to them. Remember these doors? Once again, each door holds a risk that has an impact on your client. The first common belief you hear is that it won't happen to me. But it is your client willing to take that chance? The reality is, everyone is at risk, no matter how young or healthy the individual may be. Your clients or their loved ones probably have encountered or will encounter one or most of these doors by age 65. Not financially prepared to deal with the additional cost involved may become overwhelming for the individual and their loved one. Critical illness coverage provides the added financial security and flexibility and gives them the chance to focus on the recovery rather than worrying about their finances. And as you already know, buying critical illness insurance at a younger age, especially while they are healthy and insurable, helps with the underwriting and can lock in guaranteed and affordable rates and many of the product features. And keeping it simple and easy for your clients to understand the important things in life, this slide may help you. Ask them what would happen if you get into a car accident. They have car insurance to cover the risk. What happens if you have a fire in your home? They have home insurance to cover the risk. What happens if one of the family members passes away? They have life insurance to cover the risk. In fact, if at the least, the Canada Pension Death Benefit of $2,500 could be one of the benefits that they could access. And what happens if they become disabled? If they are an employee, they may have disability coverage from their work, or if they could possibly access government benefits. But what if your client suffers a stroke or is diagnosed with lung cancer? As an advisor, we know that the critical illness discussion is often overlooked. But I hope this slide can begin to give you some confidence and start the conversation with your clients. You can ask your sales rep for a copy of this slide, or when you receive it as part of the presentation. I have many advisors who actually use this and just go step by step through the talking points as well. I'm already covered with my group plan. There is an underlying sense of security with employees who have an employer-provided group plan, but we also know that that can change, and it can change very quickly. The group plan may not offer a critical illness coverage at all, or it may have a restricted type coverage. In fact, some clients feel they are protected because they have disability instead of critical illness. But we all know that a critical illness diagnosis may not meet the definition to make a disability claim. So what about contract workers or part-time employees? Or what about your clients who have quit their jobs or they were terminated? Generally speaking, most group coverage offers no portability at all. They just can't take it with them. Don't we have a public health insurance? Absolutely, we do here in Canada. In fact, we have a strong healthcare system, and we are very fortunate and very thankful to do so. But what about all the other areas that are not covered? Housing, meals, travel expenses to and from treatment? Or what about those clients who live in a rural trading area? Those people may have to travel a long distance to get their treatments. What about parking costs at a hospital? I'm sure it's the same right across the country, but it can add up so very, very quickly. We're also very fortunate to have access to experimental medication to treat cancer, but the costs are not always covered. How would you find the money to pay for it? And what if you wanted to access out of country care? What could that actually add up to be a cost to? Well, this is an interesting statement because I can assure you, I have yet to find anyone who believes that they have enough or plenty saved up. Think about how quickly their personal savings, their TFSA, RRSP would be used up if they were paying for some of the things we just identified on the previous slide. And what if your spouse wants to be there every day to help you through this difficult time? Could you afford to replace their income from your savings? What about maintaining a lifestyle or any lifestyle for a matter of fact? All these objectives that are worth discussing with your client one-on-one. So let's take a look now at why advisors are not choosing to sell critical illness on each and every qualified client. The coverage is too expensive. Yes, the history of this product has forced insurance carriers like SSQ to take a look at our product offering and find ways to adjust the cost so it became more affordable. We've become creative and introduced riders and endorsement type coverages to help keep costs down. Many products, particularly like the SSQ $20,000 critical illness rider that we offer, many of you have already including in your life coverage, providing you lots of flexibility to cover your clients and with a very, very affordable solution. Critical illness is too complicated. Again, yes, it can be. And earlier product offerings that were launched definitely were more complicated. But as we've improved this product over time, it's become easier for you to understand. And so, to support advisors like yourself, the life insurance industry as a whole adopted standardized definitions for the critical illnesses that are listed in our policies. That will hopefully give you some comfort and confidence around talking about critical illness. It is our responsibility as carriers to revisit these definitions, and we will make updates in our product in respect to each of the covered illnesses that we offer. As you can see on my slide, I've provided you with a quick snapshot of the critical illness coverages that we offer here at SSQ. Please review the details in the library of our software on each of these coverages, or simply contact your sales team for more information. They'd be more than happy to talk with you about it. So another slide that may be supportive to you when you are talking with your clients about critical illness. I particularly like it because it can open the conversation both from addressing what the risks are with no critical illness insurance to the flexibility and the choice around the critical illness. So on the left side, these are the risks. What happens if or when they are diagnosed with one of the covered illnesses? They would experience a loss of income. They could deplete their personal savings, TFSA, or again, the retirement savings. They may be forced to sell off some assets, or they may need to approach their family or friends for help, or go into debt with a loan, even if the bank would even lend to them in their current health state. And they may have to accept a lesser treatment than what was recommended, particularly if they had to be considering an international help. With critical illness on the right side of the slide, they can ask their employer for an unpaid leave of absence. I don't know any employer who wouldn't be granting them that, particularly if it was to maintain or to regain their health. The benefit is received when it is paid out of a critical illness policy tax-free, and there are no rules. CRA has no rules on how the money can be spent, so you can use it for any need that you require. You can protect their way of life and help them to maintain their current lifestyle. It helps them to explore accessing healthcare across Canada or internationally. And at the end of the day, really, an enforced critical illness policy just gives your client choice. So what's your role in all of this? Remember what Dr. Bernard said? You need insurance not because you're going to die, but because you're going to live. Educate yourself on the product and its many features. Be confident when you present critical illness as a solution and design those solutions that protect the family. Even small amounts of coverage can make the difference to a lot of families. At the end of the day, some coverage is better than no coverage. So I particularly like this quote from Confucius. We have two lives, and the second begins when we realize we only have one. A critical illness diagnosis will definitely affect your life. Just ask anyone who's been diagnosed with cancer or suffered a heart attack or a stroke. Their life is never the same. I can hope for each of you, my hope for each of you is that one of your clients or anyone in your family, should they be diagnosed, that you will be the one who will actually be able to show up with their claim check and change their lives. So hopefully you've enjoyed the introduction to critical illness insurance, particularly from SSQ. We're going to move into the electronic application. It has been a platform that we have introduced about a year ago, and we are excited to help you learn about how you can continue to write SSQ life apps for, well, during this time, of course. So the SSQ application is a completely paperless web-based application. It's compatible with Apple, Android, and the Windows platform. Again, we can offer you face-to-face and non-face-to-face applications. There is a link to the electronic app under under the SSQ website, electronic-application. We have pre-recorded this session. Once you can access the site, you can scroll down the page and you can review the full 57-minute video for full training, or you have a number of 1-minute videos that will help you go through step by step. And again, we will just do a quick review of this as I go forward and introduce you to the e-app. So the eligible cases that can be submitted, we can currently offer Term Plus, our whole life, and our critical illness. And you are allowed to add all of the additional benefits. On our life insurance, we will have a minimum face amount of $25,000 and a maximum of $5 million for the non-face-to-face. Our CI is $25,000 to a maximum of $250,000 on non-face-to-face. Some of the highlights. So this e-app has actually been modeled after our paper application. So as you work through each of the areas of the e-app, you'll be reminded of the paper application and the similarity between the two data entry screens. So you can have the application signed by either a non-face-to-face meeting. The non-face-to-face sales clients must connect, so you must actually validate that person and allow them to and you to see who they are. The non-face-to-face sales, they must connect to a web base or to the web as well, so into a URL, and they can follow along with the progress. Your application has an identification with a unique code that you will share with your clients, and they can then receive the data pages that you will be sending to them. So a couple of guidelines: the policy owner must be the payer. The policy owner must be the insured on the policy. Maximum life, again, as I said, is $5 million, for CI $250,000. And you can verify the client's identity through a video conference such as Skype or FaceTime. It's 100% web-based, so you do require an internet connection. It's compatible with desktops, laptops, tablets, smartphones, Microsoft, Apple, and Android. And the client validates the pages. They could even use their tablet or smartphone if they so choose. So it's very user-friendly and it's very easy access. The premium is calculated inside of the application. So I do suggest that you could visit our software, do your analysis for the type of case that you would want to be presenting to your client. And then when you start the e-app platform, you are able to do the client information, and then you'll build the same solution inside of the e-app and do the calculation within the application. We do not allow you to use the software and then go immediately into our electronic app. Because of the web-based platform that we offer electronic app on it, we do the calculation inside of it. That then means that we do not need you to prepare a separate illustration or submit it, and it's not required for SSQ that we would ever need that on our file because the calculation is done within the app. So if you're meeting person to person, you would do this and validate each section. But because we're doing it on a non-face-to-face platform, the summary of each section that you complete, they cannot see what you are typing in, will have to be validated by your client, and they simply review it and send it back to you. So once every section of the electronic app is completed, you can then submit it to SSQ. So we've moved on the signatures to a system-generated electronic signature, and it allows your client to see all of the declaration and agreements and authorizations that that are required for us to form a full application. The system generates 3 signatures, one of which your client would choose. That signature does form part of the application and becomes the valid signature for the duration of the contract as it remains in force. There's no need to change it anywhere down the road. It is all of the systems have been validated to SSQ and to your client to say that this is one of the same signatures as if they were signing in person. In the case of my case in front of you, Lisa Powell has selected the first signature, which then immediately populates into the application, and you can see it along. It would also be that signature that would show in the paper or in the actual policy when it arrives to you, the advisor. So it's a pretty easy and simple way for you to be able to see it. The system does generate a PDF version of this entire application, including the signatures at the very end before you submit. So that would be a file that you could maintain and keep in on your laptops or on in your own documents. For the application, it can be automatically submitted to directly, or it is automatically submitted to SSQ as soon as you hit the submit button. So there's no admin delays or delivery delays, or it doesn't go via your MGA first. As I said, a PDF file is immediately generated. And then through this platform, we notify your MGA that this application was submitted via the e-app, and that is for the purposes of making sure that there is a tracking and also that we can pay you. Immediately after the confirmation or after the submission of the application, a confirmation is sent to your client, validating that they have submitted an application with SSQ. Any agreements that were included in the email, or if you chose to put temporary insurance on that client and they qualified for it, that would also be included as part of that email. And then there is a document that helps your client to prepare for the tele-underwriting or the phone interview that we will ask Dynacare to complete. The medical and personal history questionnaires will be asked over the phone interview, and it follows the same platform as our paper app. So as well, if on our regular time, we would be asking for any other blood urine requirements. At this point, as we've shared at the beginning of the presentation, up to the $1 million under age 45, we will waive all of those, but we still do require that tele-underwriting conversation to take place. So the any other requirements if there was a need down the road. So currently we do not accept the preferred rates on our applications today. So if you would like to revisit this down the road, you can be looking at a revisit to the case at a future time and provide these requirements, and we'll be able to reopen the case and look at it for you if you are thinking about preferred rates. The electronic app has the ability to save your application anytime through the process. So if you decided to pre-populate a lot of the information and save it, and then once you are have your client available for completion, you could then reopen it under that saved application. And again, we do keep these on file inside of your own login of the e-app for a period of 30 days, even if they have not been submitted at the time. So just know that you can maybe do a little bit of mining your database and taking a look at what some of the clients that may have expressed an interest in the past, and this might be an opportune time to go back and revisit it. There are a few limitations to our electronic app. Here are a couple of them. The numbers of insureds on any application currently today is 2. And the policy owners, currently we don't offer any corporate owned policies at this time, although improvements are coming. And I know that we have actually expanded the number of insurers as recently. So just keep watching your inbox for our communications, and more importantly, that website that I just introduced you to earlier. Clients documents, as I talked about, the guide for non-face-to-face sales. This is a PDF that can be provided to your client in advance. There's also a phone interview so that your client is fully prepared for that to happen. And then that way you can have these PDFs sent as you communicate with your client and confirm their time. They could actually have these documents in advance. Once you are having your client access the URL, this is what the system will look like. So it is the validation screens that your client will see once you have done your data entry and send it to them. They're reviewing all the information that you typed in. As I said, they don't see you type. So they will simply agree, and it will come back to you, and it will form part of your application and have it be completed fully on until you submit it. Once it's all completed, a confirmation email is sent to your client. And again, you will be thanking them for the business and sending in the application. We also, again, will show I'm showing you again the ways in which the electronic app can be accessed. So again, non-face-to-face today. I've highlighted the demo version. There's the webinars that we're doing as we are today, and also demonstration. There is a test version that you can walk through. There's a video tutorial, frequently asked questions, and then some training documents. So I'm now going to turn it over to Stephen Paul. He is the business associate in the BC region, and he will be doing a live demonstration on the e-app for you.
Thank you, Adeline. I'm just going to share my screen here quickly and walk through the e-application process and highlight a couple different features and key points that you need to see when performing the e-application with your clients. So thank you everyone for joining. As Adeline mentioned at the beginning, we hope everyone is keeping well and healthy, as well as your families and colleagues at this time. So you're going to go into the electronic application, and you're simply just going to start off electronic application login. For today's purpose, I'm going to go to our test version, and you will log in. If you're doing this for the first time, you can reset your password here by typing in your email address, your SSQ advisor code, and the language. So when you first get into the e-application, it's going to come up as this screen right here, and you're simply going to start by selecting New Session. So this screen will then come up, and over here on the right side under SSQ Insurance, you're going to see Assurance Via / Life Insurance. This is where you will start the application. And then this screen will come up asking if you're doing a face-to-face or non-face-to-face. So we're going to do a non-face-to-face for the purpose that I can show you how it works when you're not with the client, and they can see the information that you're typing in and have sent to them to validate. So the different guidelines will come up here, and Adeline went over those different guidelines, so it's important to note those when you're doing the application. And what's important on this page is the URL that you're going to send to the client is right here. So this is how they are going to see each page that is being sent to them and validate. So you're going to send them this page, and they'll open it up in a web browser. And this can be any web browser on your smartphone, tablet, or computer. And you're going to give them the call code as well, which is in the top left, 746 for this case. So once they have that, every page that you complete and send for validation, they will see. So we'll go through this first page here, and we'll do no. For this purpose, we'll do income in English. So when you send to confirm, it will show here waiting for the client, and the client will get those information that you have put in, and they will simply agree if it's all correct. If it's not, they'll just let you know to change it, and you will edit it and send back to them. So once each page is validated, you will see a little cross on each page as we go along. And at the bottom of each page after the first one, it'll also say validated. So in order to submit the application and go along, each page needs to be validated. So I'll quickly just go through and we'll get to the coverage and do a CI illustration so you can see exactly how that works. So what's important here to note is that you need to do a client search in order for the page to be validated. So even if the client hasn't applied for SSQ in the past, you still need to do this. And the reason for it is if they have, it's to match profiles. So we already have some of the information for them. If no client comes up, as I said, you'll simply just exit the page. And you'll do your policy owners and everything there. For this purpose, I'm just going to confirm this page so we can move along to the coverages. Again, that's what the client will see. They will agree, and you'll see sent to client, client confirmed. So now for the coverage, we're going to do the first coverage. We're going to do a CI. So I'll click myself as the insured. It is individual. Over here, we're going to do critical illness and a T75. You can do our basic or our enhanced, and then the ROP options down here that you can click off. The face amount coverage that the client wants for this CI. And then you're not going to put in the monthly premium and annual premium that you see on the illustration. You're simply going to go down and calculate. So normally that will calculate that and it'll bring in the premium. For some reason, it's not working at the exact moment. So what we're going to do is we're going to do a term plus instead. So you can see a similar kind of calculation. So we'll do a term plus 10. And again, calculate. And for some reason, it's just frozen. So I'm just going to try and get back. So this is just the test version as mentioned. You won't have these difficulties when you're doing the actual version. The idea is that this is constantly improving and updating. So it's just being edited nonstop. So sometimes when our developers are working on it, it allows technical glitches. So 050. So again, they're going to get this link here. And they will see each page. So we'll go through that. And just for the purpose of saving time, I'm just going to save this to a face-to-face application now so you can see the calculation and signatures portion. So we're just going to do a term this time just to make sure. I'll put in their face amount. And when you calculate, it will bring up the monthly and annual premium there, as well as it'll keep it there so you can see as you scroll down. If you want to add another coverage, you're simply just going to add coverage and type in that information like we just did. You can then go through all of the different riders and benefits that are optional there and click off anything that you want to add. So for this, we'll add the critical illness rider. And again, you're going to click calculate. So this will update the total down here. And under each section, it will show what the monthly and annual premium is for that specific rider or coverage. I'm just going to quickly fill out this so we can then go to the signatures in order to see that. The preferred time, so this is for the interview that Dynacare will be calling for. So what time and what mobile, telephone, or other phone that's best to reach you at. So let's say weekends work best. You can call that, and that way Dynacare knows to reach out to them on the weekend to go over that telephone interview. You'll answer each question. And then for today's purpose, we'll put that I'm an actor. And as each page, you'll validate. When you run into an issue or you leave something blank, it's going to notify you of that. And you'll simply go up and see where the red asterisk is in order to make sure that you fill out that information. In other words, the eApp is making sure that you don't leave any questions blank. That way everything is completed. The payment, if you're doing the temporary insurance agreement, you're going to have to make sure you answer no to these questions. And then payment must be withdrawn on reception of this application. So it can't be upon withdrawal. So just for the purpose of saving time, we're just going to click no for now. And validate. So the signature page, this is what I kind of wanted to show everyone here. You're going to go through this and it's just the authorization. And then again, these are the 3 signatures that the person can select from. So I'm going to select the first one. And what's important here is it's the city and province that the client is clicking off on this. So just because, say, I'm in Vancouver, but the client is in Victoria, they're going to enter Victoria in this section. And they'll simply accept, and then you'll be able to move on to the submission page. This is just the Financial Security Advisor's report, so any doubts or concerns or other information you have. And then finally, in order to submit the application, you need to make the PDF and save the PDF to your computer. Once you've done that, you'll be able to submit the application to SSQ Insurance. So that's kind of the overview of the electronic application. Sorry it didn't quite work as first, but as I mentioned, is a test version and it's constantly being updated. I'm going to pass the presentation back over to Adeline, and she will wrap things up for us.
Hello, everyone. I don't know, hopefully you can still hear me. So thank you, Stephen. That was great. And again, we encourage anyone who currently is not set up to submit applications by eApp to please connect with your sales team in your region, and they'll be able to help you get set up, get your user ID and password, and just give you the support that you need. We do have a sales support 1-800 number that you can access. And if you need password resets, of course, do it on the data entry screen. Otherwise, you can connect with the sales web or email address that you see ahead. And they can be contacted from 8:30 in the morning to 4:30 in the afternoon, Eastern Standard Time. So again, just a reminder of the upcoming webinars. Please take note. As I said earlier, we will send these out again to you to register on Wednesday. We'd love to have you join us. I think we've got some great topics ahead of us. And lastly, I want to give you the sales team. So please feel free to reach out, any one of them for any of the support on anything we've discussed today. And again, on behalf of the entire sales team, we thank you for participating. Hopefully you have learned a few things about critical illness that you can put to use almost immediately. You will receive your CE credits in a couple of weeks, or the certificate. And again, we'd be happy to answer any questions. Thank you very much. Have a great week. And I extend a happy Easter to each and one of you for next weekend. So thank you again. Have a wonderful day.